Coming out of work today, I was filled with this strong desire, this feeling that I can only describe as I had this feeling of a need for speed. So I came and saw Top Gun Maverick. Now, I had pretty high expectations for this movie, considering the rave reviews it's gotten and just how everybody seems to really be enjoying this movie and singing its praises. So I don't really have it at a 10 as far as expectation, but more like an 8 or 9. I mean, I hope it's the greatest movie of the year. That'd be great. But for me, since I am biased towards certain movies, it's probably not going to reach number 1 this year for me, no matter what. Might make top 10. That'd be great. But it has been a while since I saw the original Top Gun. I didn't see it when I was young. I saw it a few years ago. Because I'm like, okay, it's a very important movie. It's one of the movies that they say you have to see in your lifetime. It's in my 1001 movies book. So I did, and I enjoyed it, but I don't have the connection to it like other people do. So, like I said, it has been a couple years since I watched that, and I wanted to see it again before seeing this. That didn't happen. So instead I watched like 1 or 2 recaps here on YouTube just to remind myself what happened. And now I'm going in to see this. So hopefully I'm blown away by it. Whatever happens, I will let you know my thoughts when I come out. I'll see you then. One of these days, I will get these reviews out, like I say, when I come out of the theater. Someday that will happen. Maybe it'll be after Jurassic World Dominion. Who knows? Anyway, it has been a few days since I saw Top Gun Maverick, but the good thing about that is I've had time to reflect and think about it. And the first thing I want to say is, wow, the people that want to see this movie, I just felt out of place because I definitely was the youngest person there, I'm pretty sure. There were a lot of older, I'd almost go elderly people, and a lot of them were ladies. And that just, I don't know why, that just surprised me and felt a little bit out of place, I think. Just a little bit. But again, that is one thing about movies. It's interesting to see the types of people that go see certain movies. There are many times where you'll see somebody in a movie and you might think, they don't look like they're the type that would like this movie. But hey, we all have different tastes. But you didn't come to hear about that. You came to hear about Top Gun Maverick and my review of the film. So what did I think? It was good. It was really good. Now, I will say right off the bat, yeah, I like Doctor Strange more. I will probably like Thor more. I like the Batman more. And movies like that. Because those are my movies. Those are the ones I enjoy. But when we push that all aside, Top Gun Maverick is phenomenal. The scope of it, the performances, the look of it, the action scenes, the comedy, the relationship between the characters, the story itself, everything is just really, really excellent and very well executed. Now, like I said at the beginning, this was not a movie that I grew up with. I saw Top Gun for the first time like 2 years ago, I think, right in the midst of the pandemic. That was the first time I saw it. And I liked it. Not one that I was over the moon about, but I enjoyed it. And I really had a good time with this film, like I've said. I thought it was definitely a step up from the original one, as far as I can remember. And I just felt like it had more heart. The love and care that characters have for each other, the relationships that we see that have been built upon since that first movie, or even relationships that are built a certain way in the movie, but if you've done any research and you know anything about the actors, you can see their relationship to each other in the movie as well. And that's a good thing, in my opinion. Now, normally I'd probably start with the performances. But let's look at the story and the visual effects first, because those things are top-notch here. The story works. It makes sense. This does not feel like a money grab. Now it could be. Maybe that's what the studio wanted. Maybe Tom Cruise is never going to tell us that that's why he made it. But the movie definitely feels like it was not a necessity. It was not made because they wanted to get money from the Top Gun franchise, especially considering how many years ago that first one came out. The story was solid. It made sense. It worked. Clearly, a lot has happened between that first film and this one. We don't need to know everything, but they touch on the details and the facts that we need to know. Whether it's what Maverick's been doing since based on what I remember or based on the recaps, since he tried to go and be a teacher, all the things that led to him to where he is at the beginning of this film. We hear about another one of his relationships, which is where Jennifer Connelly comes in. We hear about his relationship to Goose's family, to his son, played by Miles Teller, and to his mother. We find out certain things that he promised, certain things that were said, things he did. And the best thing about that is that creates the tension between Maverick and, not Goose, Sparrow. Yeah, Sparrow. Sorry, I had to think there for a moment. It creates this tension, and it doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels real. And then you've got the visual effects, which I'm pretty sure, based on what I remember and hearing, a lot of this was real. A lot of this was done in camera. They had the actual jets. They had the actual suits. They had a lot of real stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, well, what is real and what isn't? Because they did say, if I remember, that Tom Cruise learned how to fly a jet so that he could do either Top Gun or this movie. I'm pretty sure it's probably this movie. And so it's like, okay, so what scenes are real and what scenes is like the cockpit real, but the background's not? And you can't tell. Because having watched a lot of behind the scenes stuff, sometimes I look for that. I'm like, well, what was done in camera and what wasn't? To be honest, you can't tell with this movie. And that's great because everything looks phenomenal. The scenes they were able to catch. They have another beach scene. That's not a spoiler. It's in the trailer. I mean, the sun, the way it was going down, the sunsets and stuff. I know that's Mother Nature. But they timed it perfectly because it looked fantastic. There's plenty of humor in this film. But at the same time, when the humor's there, it's also followed by moments of seriousness. Because you need one to balance out the other. And this film definitely nails that balancing act. The action scenes, the dogfights, which, to be honest, that's what I was there for. I wanted to get to the planes. I wanted to see maneuvers, battles, whatever. That was why I was there. I know there's more to it than just that. And that's why the rest of the story did suck me in. But I was there for those things. And they were fantastic. The sequences were excellently executed. Try saying that 10 times fast. And they looked great. They blew your mind at some of the things they could do. Again, how much of it was real and how much of it was special effects, I don't know. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they did their research, and if some of this stuff they didn't actually do, they did research to determine that they could actually do it. And the objective, it never really felt like the objective or the goal, the mission that they were going on was the focus of the film. Yes, that's what they need to do. You need that guiding line, that road map, if you will say, of why the characters are there, what they ultimately have to do, because you do need some type of endpoint. Some people will argue you don't. I would argue that you need somewhere to end, even if that end is a cliffhanger. So yes, there's this point that they got to get to. but everything is filled in around it. The characters, the stories, the relationships, everything I've already mentioned is built around that central mission. And we get to see how that mission affects everybody involved, from the higher ups, the generals, to the lowest people that they show. I'll admit they don't show janitors, so you can't say that it's the janitors, but to the pilots themselves and to the crew, learning about things. You see how it affects them. And yes, they even include civilians, because Jennifer Connelly's character, she's not a pilot. But you see how the world of the Air Force and just the military in general has affected her life and her choices and why she's where she is now. So I just thought all that was fantastic. I do have one tiny complaint, and it's very, very small. There were times where I did feel like this movie was a little too long. I looked back, and the first movie was, I think it was like just under 2 hours. It might have been 1 hour and 45 minutes. This one is over 2 hours. And I will admit, there might have been some scenes that wouldn't have been as powerful if they weren't drawn out. But there were other moments where I was like, okay, let's move it along a little bit. I could feel the length at times. And maybe that's because I don't have the connection to that original film like so many other people do, especially those who went out to see this movie the first week it opened, who have probably seen it multiple times, which is why it's Tom Cruise's highest moneymaker movie of all time. Clearly there's people that wanted to see this movie. It's made for them. It's made for the fans, and even people just that end up loving this film later on. Is it one I might see again? Yeah, but I don't know if I'm really ready to go out to the theater again and see it. It's not exactly my type of film. And I'll admit it. I love action films. I love the superhero films. I enjoy fantasy films. I enjoy comedies. I enjoy animated films. Every type of film I can usually overall enjoy. Even this type I enjoy and I have a good time with. But it's not the type of film that I'm going to rush out and see 6 or 7 times like I did with Spider-Man or Endgame. But it's still very, very good. And it's definitely one you gotta see on the big screen at least once. Now, maybe it sounds like I'm ending this video, which is kind of like what the movie does. But no, we still have to talk about the performances and the actors and actresses themselves. Tom Cruise, Maverick, the guy the movie's named after. Phenomenal. I don't care what you might think about Tom Cruise, the person. What you might think about what he believes, what he thinks, his ideals. I don't look at that. I try really hard not to look at that with actors and actresses. My focus is on their work. And he nails his performance in this movie. You care about Maverick. I mean, I could not really remember the first one, which is why I had to do recaps. And I found myself caring about the character. From the very beginning, I found myself caring about what he was going to do. Caring about his relationship between him and Jennifer Connelly's character, between him and Goose's son Sparrow, between him, his confrontation with the higher-ups. Tom Cruise just really knew what he wanted to do or where he had to go with Maverick, and he nailed it. This is a character you can get behind. This is a character you care about. Yeah, he does some stupid stuff. Yeah, he doesn't follow rules, but that's why you love him. You love these law-breaking characters, these characters who think outside the box, who don't follow the rules, and that's why he's called Maverick. And yeah, you know, I might not have loved every movie Tom Cruise has done. He's done some weird ones, some very interesting ones, but this movie, I feel like, is a good mix of everything he's good at. You've got the action scenes with the dogfights. You've got the relationship, the romantic relationship. And you've got the, I'll say family relationship between, between him and Sparrow, because to me they're close enough. Like he says, Goose was his wingman. Sparrow's dad was his wingman. He was his closest friend as far as I can remember. So that's family. My best friends are like family to me. One of them I do call brother, because that's just how much I care about him and how much I'm willing to stick my neck out for him. And if he needs me, I'll be there. Okay, enough of that. Don't even know where that came from. But yes, Tom Cruise had to carry this movie on his shoulders. I mean, his character's name, Maverick, is in the title. And he does a phenomenal job. There's one scene, I'm not going to spoil it in case anybody doesn't know about other characters that are in this movie or others that might be coming back. And there's one scene that is just so powerful, and the way they do it, especially if you know things about the performers, and it's emotional. I mean, I definitely didn't cry, but it was very powerful the way they did it. And I feel like it wasn't just Maverick. There, I said Maverick's in the scene. Well, of course he would be in the scene, most likely. I feel like it wasn't just Maverick talking or saying the lines. I feel like it was Cruise saying things as well and expressing himself. That's the thing. There's a lot of really powerful moments in here. But like I said, there are times where I'm like, okay, let's speed it up. Or at the end, there's stuff that happens at the end needed to happen. And the movie was better because of it. But I admit they kind of gave me this fake sense of the movie being over when it wasn't. But back on track. So, Tom Cruise, amazing. Definitely one of his best performances. Jennifer Connelly, she was good. She brought the spunk. She definitely had the attitude that her character needed to have. The one that, I'm not going to take any crap, but I'm not going to not give any if you need it, if you deserve it. She might not be up there in the planes. She might not be a pilot. But man, her character can rumble and tumble with the best of them. And she could give it just as well as any of them up there. This is one character from the very beginning, the first moment you meet her. As soon as she starts treating Maverick in a certain way, you're like, okay, yeah, you don't want to mess with her. Maverick, you might want to get out of there. But of course, while you're telling him to get out of there, you also want him to stay because you want to see their relationship. And she was great. She had every emotion, she had every aspect of this character, of her character, was there. It made sense. It worked. Nothing really felt forced. It just felt natural. And I thought it was good. Then Miles Teller as Goose. No, I mean, not Goose, as Sparrow. I keep wanting to say Goose. He's Goose's son, like I've said many times. He's great. I mean, when I think of Miles Teller, the first thing I'm going to think of is Fan Four Stick. And that's not right because that movie is bad. And he's not a bad performer. But he brings out the tension. As soon as he sees that Maverick is going to be the one teaching them, you can see in his face. You can see the tension. You can see that they're going to knock heads, that they're going to collide. I mean, you know that's what's going to happen, but you feel it there, and you want to see where this is going to go. And they do a real good job of not giving everything away right away about what happened between Maverick and Sparrow, because there's so much more than they reveal in the trailer. But they don't give it all away at once, which is great. It's one of the main mysteries of the movie is why are these two butting heads so much? What exactly happened in the past to make them the way they are. Oh, yeah, sure. His dad died. Yeah, that's definitely one of them. But there's so much more to it than just that. And I think they did such a good job of portraying this unique, I'll call it unique relationship that the two of them have. They get more into it later on in the movie, so I don't want to spoil stuff that happens there. Needless to say, if I'm being honest, I think my favorite relationship in this film is Maverick and Sparrow. The two of them on screen, Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, their interactions, their just every time they're on screen performing together, I just found those to be fantastic moments. I'm going to mention Bashir Sahadin. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. He's one of Maverick's really good friends in this film. I'm going to say he's a goose character in this film, basically. He's not a pilot, but he's the wingman, really, for Maverick when he's not flying. He's the close friend. He's the one that can kind of bring Maverick back if he needs to, but he's also the one supporting him and knows how insane Maverick can be. And he does a good job. If I'm being honest, his performance does not stand out like the other ones in this movie, like pretty much every other one, but I don't think it needs to. He's not the focus of the film. He's not one of the main people in the film. He's not one of the main antagonists or roadblocks for Maverick. There's many other people and characters that can do that for him. He's there. He's one of the support characters. And that's not a bad thing. He does what he needs to do, and sometimes that's all you need from a character. And then you got Jon Hamm, who's playing the general. I forget if it's a 4-star general or whatever. He's playing the top general at Top Gun, not the all-star general or whoever. I don't know rankings, but he's the head guy when it comes to Top Gun. And you hate him from the beginning. He is a jerk. He's a bastard. Sorry. He's the type of guy you like to hate, and he's the perfect foil for Maverick. He's everything Maverick isn't. Or maybe he's everything Maverick is. No, he's everything Maverick basically works against. The idea of, you got Jon Hamm here playing by the rules, and you got Maverick over here who prefers to ignore the rules. Which, side note, isn't that kind of interesting that we always root for the bad boys in these types of films, or we always want the ones who aren't following the rules to be victorious or the winners in the end? Except if they're doing extreme rule breaking, like murdering or stuff like that. Just kind of interesting when you really think about it. But he's great. You hate him from the very beginning. From the moment he starts talking, you're like, oh, well, you're just a jerk. Can't wait to see you be proved wrong. And yeah, he's great. I mean, I'm saying great a lot, but what else can I really say? I mean, their performances are perfect. They're on character. They're on point. They're what the story needs. It makes sense. And along with him, you have Charles Parnell, who I'm going to say is the mediator, the middleman between Jon Hamm and Tom Cruise's character. I think he's returning from the original. I think he's one of the original. I'm not sure. But he's the one that knows how to act around Maverick, or how to get Maverick to get in line, because he knows how to work with him. And he is that middleman. He's the one that, yes, we need to do this. This is what needs to be done. This is mission. You have to fall in line, Maverick. But he knows how to, I'll say, manipulate Maverick, or make things happen in a way that ultimately it will benefit everybody. It will get done what they need to get done. It benefits Top Gun. And yeah, he's definitely, the movie would definitely be a lot different if he wasn't there, because you would just have John Hamm and Tom Cruise going head to head, just like you have Miles Teller and Tom Cruise going head to head. You need somebody in there who can be in the middle, who knows how to work with everybody. Now, isn't that something though that it would be nice if we all knew how to do that? I'm just saying, like, I wish I knew how to get along with everybody at my job, or just people in general. I wish I knew how to get along with everyone. That'd be nice. But that is this guy. He's the middleman. He's the one that's trying to make everyone see eye to eye, understand each other, and get them on the same page to accomplish a goal. And the final performance, the one other performance, is just, it's brief, but it's great. It's the one that I wasn't telling you about, which of course now I'm kind of telling you about. It's, when I think about it, it might be my favorite non-dogfight, army moment in the film, where it's just people talking. But I feel like I would be doing the whole movie a disservice if I didn't just at least acknowledge every other person. I'm not going to say cadets, because they're not really cadets, that are involved. From Phoenix to Hangman, to Bob, I think. I can't remember. But all of these other pilots are great. They all have their own personality, the banter between them. Clearly there's relationships. Sometimes maybe it would be nice if they were a little bit more established, but they're established enough that you understand where they're coming from and how they interact with each other, their feelings towards each other. And they just do a great job. They're there to do what they need to do, and they build on that. And they give more to the film than some characters like this might in other films. They matter, where other movies, they could be in there, but you don't really care about them. Here, you do. So, if it isn't clear, I like Top Gun Maverick. I definitely want to go back and rewatch that original one again, because even though it's been like 2 years, like I said, since I watched it, this new one definitely had that same feel. I could just feel, I felt like I was watching the original Top Gun again. There was a bunch of stuff in it that I could sense. I'm like, okay, I know this feeling. It's been a long time, but it feels like something I watched before. I sense that it's connected to something I've watched before. And in terms of this, it's good, because it's not exactly what you've seen before. Sure, you've got moments similar to the original that you kind of have to have. They probably put them in there for fan service, like the bike scenes and the volleyball scenes. But they're not unnecessary. They make a point, and they make a reason for why those scenes occur. So what rating would I give Top Gun Maverick? The first one that really does come to my mind is Mentor. I think I have to give it the highest rating, if I'm being honest with myself. I mean, like I said, it's not a movie that I'm going to go see again and again and again. It's not my type of movie, that I'll watch every single week. But I gotta give it props for the story, for the characters, for the visuals, for just everything it did. Aside from, like I said, feeling a tad too long and feeling the length a little bit at times, it's a great movie. And I definitely can recommend you go out and see this film. You gotta see it at least once in theaters for just the spectacle alone. So yeah, I'm sticking by it. Top Gun Maverick gets from me the ranking of Mentor. But what do you think about it? Are you one of the millions of people who saw this movie like 2 weeks ago now, the first week it came out? If so, what do you think of it? How does it compare to the original. What's your experience with Top Gun? Is it similar to mine where you saw it years later after it came out? Did you just see it before you saw this one? Are you a longtime fan? Whatever your thoughts about this movie or Top Gun in general, comment down below and let me know. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And until our next review, or even our next just nerdy video, fandom video in general, don't forget, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.